It's supposed to be more durable hydraulic now.
Please don't. I don't want to
We could rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could remain standing, as we always do, and take a moment and remember our men and women in the armed forces, and also the anniversary of Martin Luther King yesterday. On the agenda is to approve minutes that were taken on the 7th of January 2013.
So moved.
Motion by trustee McCormick. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Seconded by trustee DeSalvo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on agenda items.
Agenda items.
Yes. Nice to go over there. Here. So Laura Milsom, 105 Center Street. My question is on resolution to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement for the community development block grant for acquisition of the Knights of Columbus building for a senior center. I understand that trustee McCormick has concerns about the financial viability of this enterprise, and I'd like him to, if you wouldn't mind, elaborate a little bit on some of those concerns.
Well, basically, in an earlier discussion today, funding could be taken away from other organizations to help fund this particular operation, i.e. the senior lunch could be moved from one of the local churches that benefits to the tune of about $850 per month in county aids that supports some of that facility, I would say, the church operation. That's one that concerns me. The major concern is when we have to look at other village infrastructure, major replacements of water lines, what have you, where are we going to fund it from? I mean, the village taxpayer paying for the senior center will pay anyhow if it's taken over by the town. The majority of the taxes come from the village will pay their mega share of that particular operation. I just don't really see how we can afford it at this time. There's many other facilities in the community that go looking for people to use them. The churches have space, it's all there. And why aren't we utilizing that at a much less cost than what this would be? We don't know what the renovation costs were, everybody's come up with a number there. The daily or weekly, monthly, yearly operation, there's no numbers there. Where's it coming from? Everybody's strapped as it is. How much further can we be drawn into it? We know there's certain things that are going to have to be done in infrastructure. So I'm basically interested in the infrastructure for the future. That these dollars today, and when you mentioned it, and I think one of our residents mentioned it a while back, interest rates of 1% is pretty good, but if we wait 2 or 3 years, interest rates could be 4 to 5%. So I don't think we can afford it, and therefore I can't support it.
Okay, any other item, questions on agenda items? I'm going to move on. Number 3 is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with the Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2013 for the acquisition of the Knights of Columbus building for a senior center. You have it before you. Resolution, Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees supporting the concurrence in the fiscal year 2013 Orange County Community Development Block Grant Municipal Agreement. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls actively pursues grant opportunities, and whereas the village applied for and was awarded an Orange County Community Development fiscal year 2013 block fund grant for the acquisition of the Knights of Columbus building for the purpose of a senior center, and whereas an agreement between the Orange County Community Development Office and the Village of Highland Falls must be submitted by the 15th of February 2013 to secure these funds. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees, in its capacity as governing body of the Village of Highland Falls, does hereby support and concur that the mayor be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program Municipal Agreement fiscal year 2013. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Brown. May I have roll call?
Roll call, trustee McCormick,
Nay.
trustee DeSalvo,
Aye.
trustee Brown, trustee Flynn.
I just have some concerns about the funding, but I think this is an opportunity we can't pass up. So I am going to vote aye.
Mayor DeNofrio.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution, final notice of termination of service for unpaid water bills for May and November of 2012. Resolution for final notice and termination of service for unpaid water bills for May and November of 2012. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls has 184 delinquent water accounts in the amount of $45,255.05 remaining unpaid, including late fees for May and November 2012 water billing. Now, therefore be it resolved that the clerk notify all delinquent water customers that unless payment is made before 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 5th, 2013, water service shall be terminated. Be it further resolved that if any service is so terminated, a reconnect fee of $75 will be charged to restore said service. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee McCormick and second by trustee DeSalvo. May I have roll call?
Roll call, trustee McCormick.
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Flynn.
Aye.
Mayor DeNofrio.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Number 5 on the agenda is for the wastewater treatment plant to the employee being Tim Dougherty. He took his course for Class 2, passed, and per the contract, there's a $1.25 increase in his hourly rate, which would bring him to $17.59. This would take effect January 31, 2013, with a 26-week maximum probation per the Orange County Civil Service Regulations.
I'll make that motion to appoint Mr. Doherty to the wastewater treatment plant operator at $17.59 an hour to be effective on 1/31/13 with 26 weeks maximum probation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a recommendation from Chief Scott. We'd like to have Domenico Seminelli appointed as a part-time dispatcher with our department. He has experience in the emergency services field and would be an asset to this department. I ask that his starting salary be $13.55 an hour, the current starting pay for a new part-time dispatcher.
I'll make a motion we appoint Mr. Seminelli as a part-time dispatcher at the rate of $13.55 an hour with a 52 weeks maximum probation.
Second.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, second by trustee McCormick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, asking for the following to be approved with a company called Spectra Services for $150 a ton for the wastewater treatment plant sludge disposal with a 1-year agreement as recommended by wastewater treatment plant operator John Jones. Before we take this up, I want to let all know how this happened. A few months ago, Trustee Brown and I had a meeting with the wastewater treatment plant operator, John Jones. And we told him we wanted him to find, if it was possible, a cheaper way to dispose of our sludge. The current way was taking one man from the highway department, truck, and hauling our sludge to Narrowsburg, which is quite far from here, 5 hours, 179 miles. And over the last few months, with several more meetings with Mr. Jones, Mr. Brown and I, the following is our recommendation to the board. Investigating other companies that want sludge, we came to this. This is a company that will come in and bring their own roll-off. Sludge will be put in it on our site and hauled away by this company. We were paying approximately $212 a ton. That did not include wear and tear on the vehicle, or the loss of the vehicle, or the loss of a street department man to take this sludge to Narrowsburg. So it's actually more than $212 per ton when you add in the other legitimate cost. So by going with this company, we will save the taxpayers well over $15,000 in the wastewater treatment plant budget. So I say to you, John, nice work. Mr. Brown, nice work.
Joe, before we vote, just how long have we been going with the way we have it now?
That's the way it's been.
Do you know how long? Time, Johnny?
Long time.
It's been a long time.
Long time.
May I have a motion that we accept the low bid of $160 a ton? No, I'm sorry, excuse me. $150 a ton. Motion by trustee McCormick, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Nice work, John. And just to make note, now they are investigating the removal of the grit and rags from the sewer plant. Rags are obviously what they are, and the grit is items that mostly don't break down like corn. Okay. Number 8 on the agenda is discussion reducing the Consolidated Zoning Board of Appeals from current 7 members to a 5-member board. Before we do that, I would just recommend that we have the village attorney look at the agreement here and have that also changed.
I would like to comment that I spoke with the ZBA, I guess outgoing chairman, Mr. Wyatt, and he said he did not have an issue with attendance. I think part of the reason why they want to go from a 7-member board to a 5-member board is that there was an issue with attendance. But after talking with Mr. Wyatt, who's been the chairman for several years, he did not have an issue. In that light, Mr. Jack Generone, who's on the ZBA now, is looking for, I believe, this board to reappoint him. And I don't see why we should hold that reappointment up so that the zoning board can be whole while we discuss, you know, going from 7 to 5. I don't think that's necessarily a bad discussion, but, you know, Mr. Generone has served on the ZBA. He's willing to continue to serve, and I think he does a good job on that board. So I don't have a problem having a discussion. You know, that might take, you know, a while to have that discussion when you get lawyers involved and changing contracts. So I guess if we can do it under a different line item under the agenda, but I'd like to see the board put Jack General back on the ZBA. And while we, discuss and negotiate changing it from 7-5, they can always decide which board members are gonna be let out, or how you're gonna reorganize the whole board as a whole.
He's off right now?
His term expired, I believe, as the 31st of December 2012. So I think it would be foolish for us not to put him on the board, even while we're talking about making it smaller, or taking members off, or whatever the course may be.
Did we hold off on reappointing him because of this?
The first issue that there was that there was an issue with whether or not the town board was supposed to reappoint him, or the village board, but it turned out that in the contract, as far as we understand from both clerks, that it is the village's reappointment, so that's was the delay for not having it at the last meeting.
All right, I'm gonna move on, and you can bring that up under board comment if you want.
Well, with the discussion, are we going to move forward with this, or what are we gonna do? How are we gonna move forward with the item we're bringing up here for discussion? Does anyone have any positive or negative comments for it? Seeing that we put it on the agenda, I'm assuming that those are raised.
Well, we're having a discussion, so,
That's what I'm asking, I mean,
yeah.
is there anyone else that, no one else has anything to say on it?
Well, I think we really want to look at the legal ramifications of the whole thing.
There's a contract, so.
Here's the agreement. This needs to be looked at and given to the village attorney for his recommendation back.
Yeah, that's,
I think it started from the town side, to reduce it. And
Did not the town say?
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
I think it started on the town side is the reason why they wanted to reduce it. It may have even been mentioned at the last town board meeting. But, it's a discussion we can have. I'm not actually sure why they want to go from 7 to 5.
let's find out why.
Yeah, but in the meantime, under board comments,
Joe, or Jim, why don't, we'll give this, excuse me. We'll give this to the village attorney.
Yeah.
I mean, he has it anyway, but we'll give it some, Gina, we'll give him this agreement. Would you talk to the ZBA and the supervisor and see what more you can get?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is insurance for a 2006 Suzuki ATV as requested by the town of Highlands. This falls under the shared services agreement that we have with the town of Highlands. And so this is a piece of equipment, Pat, that you want to use on our sidewalks, and it'll save time and actually be able to probably do a better job than what you're using now.
Absolutely.
And so we thank the town for loaning us full-time this ATV. But, and again, it falls under the shared services agreement, but we need to insure it. So that's what we're looking for, approval to insure the ATV.
So moved.
Motion by trustee McCormick, seconded by trustee Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we have any numbers on this, or we're just gonna go ahead and do it?
On the insurance?
Yeah.
We're going, well, motion was made and seconded and voted on.
Okay.
It's a blanket.
Yeah.
We need to have insurance.
All right.
Okay. Number 10, bills and claims.
That's all.
All right, may I, who made the motion, Gina?
The last one,
And who seconded it?
Mr. Brown.
May I have roll call?
Roll call. Trustee McCormick.
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Flynn.
Abstain.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
What does abstain mean? What does that mean?
Seriously?
Yeah.
You don't know what abstain means?
I'm asking you, why would you
It
abstain?
means I'm not voting for it or against it.
So you're not for it or against it?
That's what abstain
Okay.
means, Joe. in case
Aye.
you're wondering.
Motion carries.
Now I have bills and claims fiscal year 2012, 2013 of $48,060.98.
Make a motion to pay the bills and claims.
Motion by trustee Brown, is there a second?
I'll second his motion.
Second by trustee DeSalvo, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment.
Doug Kucharada. We're quickly approaching the 10th anniversary of the annexation of the 248 acres by the town to the village. And I was wondering if Mr. DeSalvo could explain to the public what the board has been doing in terms of developing or any type of advancement on that project.
As I understand it, that there's been consistent contact with West Point, Army Corps of Engineers, in order to lighten up the restrictions that they are imposing to, basically develop the property and move forward with trying to get a package up there that would be, commercial or beneficial to the community and not so much strain any type of services. But the real issue, I guess, is lightening up the restrictions on the property.
So are we any closer now than we were when we
Well,
initially?
if it's a half a step, Mr. Kucharatis, we're closer.
Okay, so in your estimation, how much longer do you think it might take to actually do something?
I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot quote rates 10 years from now, and I cannot quote what the federal government will decide.
So this is truly a long-term project?
Most good ones are.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to add some additional information to that, since I've been the one that has spearheaded getting the land back and have spearheaded trying to make it into something that would benefit the entire community. And when I say the entire community, I'm talking about the Village of Highland Falls, the Town of Highlands, and the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery School District. It's been a roller coaster with the land. I ride by it every day. I'm very proud of the time that was put into getting the land back. I'm very appreciative of the federal government letting us have it back. Again, it was an up and down. There was 2 years of fighting going on between the village and the town, and I'm not going to rehash that, but it was eventually annexed into the village. The economy at one time was good, and there were some folks interested. Then the economy took a dive, and now no one's interested. Not many people are interested in it. The Corps of Engineers, who was the lead agency, if I can say it that way, behind the land, had a document that was every bit of that thick, if not much thicker than that, and the requirements for a developer were hindered anyone from putting in any type of suggestion. I will give you one hindrance. If you submitted, if you were a developer and you had a project for that land, you could submit your proposal. If 5 of us were different developers and we put into the Corps of Engineers 5 different plans, you had to submit a $500,000 check. I'm going to say that one more time. A $500,000 check. If your proposal was not picked, they kept your money. That was part of the package. As ridiculous as that is, that was the deal. That was their deal. It took me years to fight that. I'm now on the verge of getting that overturned. Not only is that going to probably happen, next week, and I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now, next week I will be in Washington, D.C. I will be in Senator Schumer's office, Senator Gillibrand's office. I will be in our Congressman Maloney's office. I will be with the Secretary of the Army. I will be with everyone and anyone that I can talk to. Those meetings are being set up. And it will be about a couple of things beneficial to the Village of Highland Falls, and one of those is the land. So the land, while nothing is there today, is certainly alive. Anything else under public comment?
Just so you know, we were at the town board meeting and it said that there were a couple positions not filled. This is coming from the News of the Highlands, that that of a planning board member, a consolidated zoning board appeals member, and a board of assessment review member, and the board will continue to seek planning and assessment review candidates, but they decided Monday. We'll ask village officials if they'd be in favor of reducing the size of the zoning board of appeals from 7 to 5 members, because there are currently 2 vacancies on the board. So according to them, they didn't have any candidates for it. So just by way of information for you. I understand that the grant for the Main Street businesses I don't know what's going on with it, but apparently a letter was received in September that we didn't get it, and that hasn't been made public, so I'm concerned as to why we didn't get it and why it hasn't been made public and why no one's talking about it, since it impacts all of the Main Street businesses. And then the last thing I have for public comment is that on page 3 of the paper, there was a ad taken out for the campaign. I'm assuming it's an ad because there wasn't anything indicating on there that it's an ad. And I have no problem with the fact that it's in here, except that on the bottom of it, it says Mayor Joe at bestweb.net. And at my meeting with Gina on Friday, I was told that that is a village website and that it is illegal for a village website to be used in political purposes for anyone that's running for office. So I'd like to ask that a retraction be made. I don't know if you made a mistake using that site or whatever, but if a retraction isn't made, then we'll be compelled to file a claim to the State Election Commission and other entities that you're using village resources for political purposes.
No, I will not retract that, and just let's get our terminology straight. It's not a website, that's my email. It's not a website.
Is it village?
I'm going to get to that, but let's correct what's inaccurate as what you stated. It is a email, not a website. Number 2, that website, and I'll say it, www, excuse me, that email, www.mayorjoe@bestweb.net, is not the official email of the mayor. The official email of the mayor can be found on the official village website, and my official email is mayorjoe@highlandfalls, spelled out, ny.org. So that's my official email. The other email that was in the ad is not an email that has been, is not the official email of the mayor, nor is it an email, if I'm using the correct terminology, address that the village pays for. Best Web was, we no longer use Best Web. It was several months ago we went to the new email. So I don't retract it, and those are the facts. Next question.
Well, that wasn't what I was told by Gina on Friday. I was told it's a village site.
It's not a site. First of all, it's not a site. You know that. You're
It's
more computer literate than I am.
It's village.
Okay. It's not the official email
It
of
doesn't matter
the
if
mayor.
it's official, it's still a village site,
Email.
email.
It doesn't. The
Whatever.
village is not paying for it.
Who's paying for it?
You know what? I actually don't think anyone is. That's kind of like
Well,
the
we were
good.
told it was still there and that you probably made a mistake or it was done in error.
No,
That's
I've
what we were
answered you.
told.
I didn't make a mistake.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, let me go on to board comments. Oh, let me go back. You had a third question. I'm not sure where the dates come from sometimes, but you referred to a September date of a denial letter for the grant.
That's what I was told.
I don't know who tells you this stuff.
Regina,
It's-
did you not tell us?
It's,
Did you not tell me?
excuse me.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, I accept.
Please,
I accept.
stay focused.
December 21 was the letter that was received by Susan Roth. And we must remember that LDC, which stands for Local Development Corporation, which is doing some fantastic work, is not a village department or related to the village or has anything to do with the village. It's a totally separate, it's a total separate animal, if you will. So, this is the letter There were many more, like every grant, there's many more applications, you probably know that, than what the dollar amount is out there to fund. And in this case, that was also a fact. And it's interesting, it doesn't help us, but this was a facade grant. There were no facade grants funded in the entire region. Now, I don't know why, I guess they have a criteria. There's an exit interview in February, which Susan Roth will attend to find out how she can make it stronger. She's already found out one way to make it stronger, because she is going to apply again for this grant. And a letter will be going out by the vice president of LDC to all those that applied in hopes of getting this.
Who's the vice president?
Janet Dutt.
Oh, she told me that she was appointed as the president today. That's what
She
told me.
said vice
And
president.
she wants to resign
She-
because she's.
Well, I'm sure she got hounded by a few
I
people, so
imagine.
I wouldn't blame her
Imagine I
either.
went right.
Excuse me.
I'll stand with you.
Yeah, when it's your turn.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Gus Petratus again. According to the Attorney General's site on the internet, the LDC as of recently, as of 2008, has not filed its returns. And according to the Attorney General's site, no entity should be doing business with this organization. Yet you're saying that that the Village of Highland Falls is still doing business with this organization?
The Village of Highland Falls?
Yes.
No, I said it's not related to the Village of Highland Falls.
Well, the LDC.
That's number
should
one.
be-
Number two, today or yesterday or within the last few days, it has now been recognized by the Charities Bureau. And Pat can probably explain that a little better than I can, how
I'm
that
not
all
concerned about
works.
Mr. Flint.
No, but
I'm concerned
I
about-
like to refer to people that know more than I do.
Actually, if you could just give me that information as to whether or not it's been reinstated.
I was
and
told today.
If you were told today, do you have that information?
No, I was told today by Susan Roth.
Okay, can Susan Roth get us this information that it's been
Well,
reinstated?
you have her phone number, call her. You've called her
I'm
before.
asking you, Mr. Mayor, if you could get
You
that
need to
information.
call Susan Roth, she's the executive director.
You are involved in this more than anyone else, and you have all the
Susan
papers.
Roth is the executive director. Everything comes to her. That's her name, not my name.
I realize that.
Okay, she's running the local development corporation. If you have a question about a grant, if you have a question about a status, if you have a question about anything to do with LDC, as in the past, you have called Susan Roth, I urge you again to call her. She takes your calls.
All I'm asking is information. If that's the case, then I will take it upon myself or go into the internet. If you're saying that it was reinstated recently, who are we to doubt what you say is the truth?
I appreciate that, because that's what I was told today by Susan Roth.
Thank you, sir.
And I believe her.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, actually I do.
Exactly.
My concerns are actually today, Regina and I, we did have a conversation, and she explained to me that she didn't want to be involved, and I don't blame her for being involved. And she suggested that I go down to see the president of the Development Corporation LLC. So I did. I went down, I spoke to Janet personally, and she said she has no idea. She went to one meeting, she was asked to attend, she did. She said, I'm 70 years old. I just want to be in business. I don't know nothing about it. And she said that no one really answered any of her direct questions at that meeting, and she has no idea, and she wants to resign because she said, I'm 70, I don't want to get involved. I just want to be in business. They're asking me to be a part of this development corporation, and when she spoke to Susan, there was no direct answer. So she's as confused as I am. And this has been going on, as you know, in July, because you put it in the paper that we should all sign up. So a lot of people are questioning me at my bar, saying, hey, what's going on? They want to work, we have money, we want to support it, we want to give people a job. But I can't move forward unless I know what the truth is. So that happened in July. I have probably 7 phone calls to Susan Roth, and every one gets better. It's either we have to wait for the weather to clear, how about Labor Day? No one gets money before the election day. Oh, Christmas is here, don't forget we're going to break for the new year. So I was very patient with her, very patient. So I figured the election would definitely mean there would be money. So I went in to see Regina 2 weeks ago. She said, see me next week. And I said, sure. I go back, I'm sorry, I don't go back. I give her 2 weeks. So today I thought about it because of the meeting. We spoke today. And she immediately said that she has nothing to do with it. I understand that the Knights of Columbus grant has nothing to do with small businesses in Highland Falls. She referred me to go to speak to the president of the Development Corporation, Miss Janet, which I did, and she very clearly stated she has no idea. She went to one meeting, but she suggested maybe the ladies from the haircutting salon might want to join. Maybe her granddaughter, whatever, I forget her name. And maybe also Charlie, nice Charlie, very smart. Maybe she would like to join. Not her. She don't know. She just wants to sell flowers.
Okay,
All
so
I'm
now
saying
what?
is that
Where are we?
when I spoke to Regina, she said you received a letter in September. Is that true or not? Just
Well,
answer the
she's
question.
shaking her head no that she didn't say
I
that.
didn't say September, there may have been a
Well,
letter
my
received.
notes then, I must
but-
be writing, I was writing it through the window as you were speaking. Okay, that may be fine. All right, you say.
Would you let her answer you? That's
Probably
kinda
not,
lo-
because I've been over this.
Probably not?
Meaning, I was told in September. It's funny that today I would show up with the paperwork to ask, what's going on? We've had probably 15 meetings, no one's talking about it.
Wilma, I don't question,
I've been in business 4 years. I have never gotten one nickel from this village, and I've been here 35 years. Shame on all of us. Okay, the people that come to support me are the people that certainly know what we're about.
Okay.
I never had a grand opening, never had a welcoming package, never had a picture with the mayor. I can't even get in the local paper. So I'm treated as a second-class citizen, but luckily enough, West Point supports us. Thank you. And all the other people that do come to the bar, I don't care whether you drink or not, you all eat. You all eat. So you want to support small businesses? I would have thought by now, coming into 4 years and owning the business for 5, and cleaning up the front street, the back street, Tobin's Lane, Schneider Avenue, I would have thought by now I would have seen a lot more faces, and maybe even the news of the Highlands to come up and say, and how are you doing in the business? And how is Highland Falls treating you?
Okay.
And are you okay being in business in the village of Highland Falls? After 35 years, it's a shame. It's a shame. Show me the money, because I haven't yet missed one payment with my sewer, water, taxes, school, supported everything.
You need to calm
No,
down.
no, you need to pay attention
No,
to
you need to
how
calm
you're
down.
running our village.
Thank you.
How are you running this business? Because I know how I'm running mine.
I'm
with
not
no
gonna,
help
I
from
will
you.
not get into a screaming
And I
match
don't
with
want
you.
you to.
I will
You're
not
better
get,
than that.
I will not get into a screaming match with
Right.
you or anyone. I will have conversations
Very nice.
all night long. Thank you.
Joe, I haven't seen you in my place in 3 years.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Okay, I will have conversations with anyone, but not screaming matches. Okay, is there anything else from the public? Yes.
Martha Allwood. One question, on this sewer, the delinquent water bills. I know it was brought up a long time ago about maybe changing the dates, if there was a way to back them up or move them forward, because they all fall during the Christmas holidays. Everybody's in trouble these days, and it just, I can see where that
Yeah.
is one issue.
Martha, in 2 minutes, you're gonna hear something about that.
Okay?
I have it ready.
And this may surprise you, but I'm gonna ask about the cell towers again. If, in fact, in the next 10 or 20 years, that land comes about, would that be a place where a tower could be?
Well, the tower, what goes on that land, let me refer to it as the West Point land, even though it's ours, so everyone knows what we're talking about. We have veto power, the village board, but the agreement is that it would be something that the village agrees to, and West Point agrees to, and the core. Now, as I said earlier, I'm trying to get the core out of it. I don't think this agreement to a development plan would, having to have all those parties agree, I don't think that would be an issue. But as far as the cell tower, I'll relate the cell tower. We need a cell tower, you know that. And West Point needs a cell tower, especially for the south end of West Point. And so that would benefit them.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, you said there was some issue that they might be.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for something in writing to say they're not going to go after a cell tower. When I get that, if I get that, we're going. We're going.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I just have a few things here. I want to read a letter from the New York State Department of Health. And this goes back to the last meeting and other meetings where I praised our departments because we do have fantastic employees and top-notch water plant and top-notch sewer plant. DEC tells us all the time about our sewer plant, that they wish other municipalities would follow what we do. But here's a letter addressed to Mr. Kevin Hurst, Chief Water Operator, Village of Highland Falls. Dear Mr. Hurst, the New York State Department of Health applauds your commitment to providing fluoridated water to the community in an effort to help improve oral health and reduce tooth decay. The department has been informed that the Village of Highland Falls was awarded a Water Fluoridation Quality Award from the United States Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. This award recognizes your initiatives to maintain community water fluoridation in 2011. Thank you for your commitment to the residents of the Village of Highland Falls and the state of New York. So I congratulate Kevin Hurst, I congratulate Jack Sibley, and I congratulate Jim McDonald. Tomorrow, I will be having a meeting with the town supervisor and the village engineer applying for a $400,000 grant to be used for both communities. It'll be a joint grant, and the gist of the grant will be for the town to bring wastewater to our plant. It's a win-win situation for the Village of Highland Falls, who needs customers, and it's a win-win situation for the town of Highlands, that it will relieve the pressure from their wastewater treatment plant. So I'm excited about that grant, and the policy that the town supervisor, Mr. Livesey, and I have is such an open door policy that that's how these things happen. Daily, he's either walking into my office or I'm walking into his office, and that's the way it should be. Update on school security. I know that the school chief, right, is continuing to have their meetings, and I've informed you of a seminar in February at the Rockland County Police Academy that I would like you to attend if you think that's something you could learn from, okay? Mrs. Howard, so this is the part, I want to name a committee tonight of Trustee McCormick, our village clerk, Regina Taylor, who has a lot to do with the billing and downstairs, and Ralph Walters, our treasurer, to take, I hope, I'd like to say 30 days, but I know government works slow, but take as long as you need, but I would like you to come back to the village board and recommend something with water and sewer in this respect, extending the payment from 30 days to 60 days, extending the penalty period. If you don't pay your bill now in 30 days, there's a penalty. I think that should be extended. Maybe partial payments, maybe accepting credit cards, paying online. So these are things that you brought up. That's why I want you to be on the committee. Those are just a few things that I'm sure there's other items that you could look at to make it easier for the taxpayer to pay his water and sewer bill.
Well, I thought it was more because it falls at the.
Well, that will be something that they look at too. That
which wouldn't make the credit card.
That's why
make those issues.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I have Ralph Walters on there, because he's the budget guy. We have to make sure that bills are sent out and money comes in to keep the department afloat, if you will. So that has to be that's part of it. That's part of it.
It could be like training turkeys too. If you could just move it maybe a week at a time over. I mean, since we're stuck with those dates now, by moving a little bit at a time,
I agree.
You could shift it.
We really looked at quarterly.
No, that's a good idea.
That's a big step.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do.
In Florida, in some places, it's done monthly, but I know Gina doesn't want to hear that.
No, well, that may increase your cost.
Right,
so that
but
might-
it's still, all those options are out there, the quarterly, the credit card. I think we have a lot to talk about. We talked about it before, but it never got anywhere, but the times get tougher, we have to dig a little deeper.
How many homes are there in the village?
Probably a little over 1,100.
And you're talking, what, 180, I think you said, or something that were in default? for going into delinquency. So that's a big percentage.
Yeah, but I have to tell you that some of those folks, and I don't know the percentage, but I do know there's an X factor, that some folks,
Stretched to the end.
well, they don't have a problem with it being put on their taxes.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes
Okay,
people
yeah,
think
all
if
right.
I keep my money, I'm, you know,
Okay, I see.
you know, but that's just,
Right.
that's only an X factor though, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's not, okay? All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Back in November, I asked the building department to look at 467 Main Street. 467 Main Street is the Christiana Hotel. It's a dump, and we're tired of looking at it. And so the building department has been in there, especially, I think, John Hager. He's 85% done with going through it. He's identified many deficiencies, and so hopefully soon that'll be completed, and the building owner will be notified of all that he has to rectify to bring it up to code, because right now there's a lot of code violations in there. I've written Senator Larkin and the Department of Transportation that of the serious situation, what I refer to as West Point Highway across the street here. The folks from Wyatt Green come out, those that walk, they cross the street, there's a crosswalk under the blinking yellow light, and then they head down the sidewalk on West Point Highway side. On the west side, it doesn't get plowed. Pat, you know that. And then come spring, we need to get on them because it's all broken up, and we need, some of those folks walk with walkers, they walk with those carriages that they pull their.
Mr. Williams is blind.
There's one guy that's blind, so this needs to be addressed. Small issue, but big issue for those residents down at Wyatt Green. I would ask that the folks, now that we, I can reach more folks now with the TV, that the food pantries, Sacred Heart Food Pantry and the Holy Innocents Food Pantry is in need of food. As Mr. McCormick said a couple minutes ago, and we all know the economy is bad, and there's folks out there that need. And so these food pantries need our help. Cereal, canned goods, soups, vegetables, canned vegetables. So anything that people can give. And for years now, downstairs in the lobby, I have a box that's for the food pantries, both pantries. And every Thursday, whatever's collected goes to the food pantries. So just come in if it's more convenient to come here. Just come in the Village Hall, there's a box downstairs, put some food in there, and it will be appreciated.
Excuse me, Mayor, another question on the food pantries.
I'm gonna get in trouble here,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you, go
Just
ahead.
asking about cash versus food donations, because I had read that sometimes these places, their money goes farther than ours does. You
Yeah,
know.
so my recommendation to you, if by cash or by check, that you see Father Jack at Sacred
Okay.
Heart, or you see Mother Ferguson at Holy Innocents.
All right, thank you.
The Greater Hudson Valley Family Health Center. You see their building down here progressing very, very nicely. Dr. Medina's old office. And Dr. Carroll, some of us remember Dr. Carroll. So it's progressing very nicely. That'll be in addition to the tax rolls over and above what it was. But for the next several weeks, you'll see the Greater Hudson Valley Family Health Center van down at my town marketplace every Wednesday from 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. If you're ill, if you feel like you want to see someone, if you want to have maybe you're not ill, but you want to have your blood pressure taken, there's a host of services that they offer. You want to get your flu shot, it's $20. If you have a copay, they accept just the copay. So it's a nice thing that's going on down here. This month I met, this month isn't over with, but up to date I've met with our new assemblyman, James, how do you say his last name, James? It's Greek. How do you say it? Skoufis. I talked to him about some dollars for the ambulance corps communications that Mr. Stropel asked me to talk to him about, and I told him to be on the lookout also for money for an elevator for our building. I had a meeting with Colonel D'Antona, who's the brigade commander. He's in charge of all the cadets. We had a meeting out in Middletown with community development. I've had several meetings with Colonel Rideout, the garrison commander. And due to the storm on January 16th, which was the meeting with Dr. Jackson and the village engineer, with sidewalks, with the sidewalk grant that we spoke about before at this meeting, now has been rescheduled for next week. So we'll go down to the school and have that meeting and see what we can do with another grant for sidewalks. Tonight, I also would like to name a committee. They can call themselves what they like, but for tonight, I'll call them the PARK, P-A-R-K, Parkland Committee. The chairperson for that committee will be our former mayor, Inga Quaintance. Merv Livesey, who's here tonight, will be on it. And Merv, the reason I asked you, because you did a lot of great work when you were the town councilman for recreation. I mean, you lived it, breathed it. You did very good. So I'm looking for you to do the same here. Jimmy Willis, the recreation director, has said that he would serve on this committee. And there's two other folks whose names I won't mention tonight because I just have a phone call into them and they haven't gotten back to me. But what this committee will do is to look at the land behind the Little League field. I've been told it's around 5 acres. The village acquired it back in the 70s under some type of court settlement. And see what these folks want to recommend back to the village board that we can do with that piece of property.
Excuse me, Joe, can anyone join the committee and get involved?
You can talk to Mrs. Quaintance. 109 Center Street. Under the new law that was introduced a short time back, it was an amendment to the property maintenance law. It's something that I had wanted to do, and through the village attorney and the cooperation of the village board, it was adopted. It addresses vacant buildings a little stiffer than the property maintenance law did. So this is an amendment, and Mr. Hager at the town building department has told me that he has notified the bank of the code change, and with that notification of the code change, he is giving them a list of the violations with a 30-day window to fix the violations. And he said to me, if they don't, as the new law tells him to do, an appearance ticket will be issued to the bank. Crime hotline. We have a crime. We've had it for years. There's a crime. Sometimes Joe McCormick brings this up, but there's a crime hotline here, and it feeds, Chief. It feeds right into this phone, and it's the only thing the phone is used for. Is that correct? Correct. We can take anonymous phone calls. You can leave your name. You can ask for the chief to call you, whatever you would like. But it's 446-7628. As Mr. McCormick says, use it. Use it. 7628. Joe?
Yeah, well, let's take some of the shine off and everything. One, no, I'm not running for re-election. You don't understand that. There's several issues, and I keep bringing them up when I talk about infrastructure. And in just one area alone, we could probably spend $10 million. But anyway, currently discussing with the village engineer the condition of our water lines in the Ondeviora Park and Craigston area. It's been noted by our water department that the lines in Ondeviora are in poor condition. Now, we've known this for several years, so I can't tell you that it's new, but it's something that we have to address. And when I start talking about infrastructure dollars, that's can't spend something someplace else if you don't have, when you gotta take care of something that people depend on. There's estimates here anywhere from 120,000 to $1.6 million in different projects, so, and it varies up and down. So there's a whole array of things that have to be looked at over years. Now, asking the engineer to get involved and come back with recommendations so that this, hopefully in future boards, they can phase this in and get some of it accomplished as we go forward. The new boiler at the water plant should be up and running by the end of the week. And I'll go back to the senior center again. You know I'm not in favor, didn't vote for it. Whoever funds the operation of the school costs all of us. And we have many other locations within the town that can be used. We have too many other pressing infrastructure problems to allow this expense, or is it just another election year gift? And I'm a little pissed off at that, quite frankly, but that's the way it is. I just can't see going after things that we can't afford. Thank you very much, and we'll continue until the end. Thank you.
Joe, you know, I just want to, I don't want to get into a thing, but when you say that the senior citizens have other places they can go, I would like you to tell me where that is. But before you do, I will tell you, a long time ago, the senior citizens used to go to the ambulance corps. Well, they can't go to the ambulance corps. They can't go there now. Then they went to the Knights of Columbus Hall. And then they went to the middle, I call it the middle school on Mountain Avenue, which was downstairs, down a long hallway, small. That didn't work. Then they went to Holy Innocents Church Parish Hall. And then they outgrew that. We're lucky no one fell over there because it was so crowded with the chairs and the seniors walking. And now we're at Sacred Heart. I don't know where else to go. I don't know where else to go. And I'll just leave it at that. I understand. I understand your. I understand your concerns. I can't tell you that I don't have those concerns. So I understand what you're talking. I understand what you're saying.
Well, listen. If you take something away and somebody says, "Oh, we can use the nutrition program. We can move it to that building." Well, that nutrition funding is supporting another facility right now. So you take it away, it puts them behind the rock. You take something else away, it puts them behind the rock. You move things in there that are paying somebody else, puts that organization that they were paying behind the rock.
Right. Well, the senior citizens are behind the rock. In fact, to some degree, they're under the rock. Okay, and I'm not going to allow that.
Well,
so we're going to move forward the best that we can, and I understand, and I've had talks with the town supervisor, and our long-term site vision is that it does become a town-wide building. It's not for Highland Falls seniors. It's not just for the Highlanders, which is our club. It's for all seniors, including Fort Montgomery. So it only dictates that it probably should be a town building.
I did mention town, I didn't mention village.
Yeah.
But we cannot afford it.
Right.
That's the way it is.
Okay. Pat?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joe.
There was some concern about the LDC group. I also have some concern about that. As far as being connected to the village, they are, because the calendar grant that came through, the village sponsored the grant for the LDC. So we are connected to the LDC.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And we should have, and there should be more information going out to our community. I'm looking into it. And as I get the information, you will have the information. I also, with the change in venue for the election, I would ask that there be some kind of signage over at the firehouse. I realize there'll be information in the paper on 23, and obviously at the meetings, but I would like something over at the firehouse explaining to people that may not know that the venue's been changed, that Sacred Heart is the new voting area, just so that we can get our goal, and that is to have as many people vote as possible.
Pat, can I just answer that?
I just have a couple things, then
Okay.
you can go ahead.
Okay.
Also, last meeting, I apologize because I overlooked it. In one of the items, we accepted Chris Burns' resignation, and it was done, I didn't have a thing, it was done without me understanding why. And normally we do have that information, and I wanted to, I'm looking into that as well, because I think it's important to know, particularly someone with Mr. Burns' history for the village and for the town, and what he's done for the community. I think that's important to know, and normally on any resignation, they state why.
Did you get a copy of his letter?
It was not in the packet, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I already talked to Gina, she's on it. Gina's totally on it. But I just want to let, because I was asked, I wanted to make sure that was out there. And
Yeah. It was in everyone's packet.
I think so.
I read it.
that's all I have.
Okay, as far as signs for voting, I've already spoken to the village clerk. There should be a nice sign in front of the Highland Falls Firehouse telling people where the voting is. I also would like to see a couple of signs around town, maybe one down as you're driving into town by the clock, by the point of Memorial Park, a sign there. So there's a couple of key locations that we can actually put the signs. And we've talked about that a week ago. LDC, I'll just say it one more time, LDC, I hate being a dead horse, is not connected to the village. What LDC did, and I thank Susan Roth for doing this, the village had a $10,000 grant and had no one to make it happen. And Susan Roth put hours and hours and hours. Where the $10,000 went was to the kiosk, which has had no map to go to Side Street Saloon or the Fireside or Benny Havens or anywhere else for 2 years. And that's wrong. It was an embarrassment when I would drive by and see tourists looking at this kiosk and there was nothing there but dust. And so this particular grant now has acquired a map and a nice welcome sign for the top. Because that kiosk is greatly used when I drive by. I see people there, but again, they're looking at something, there's nothing there. So it's almost like we're closed, and we don't want to have that. We don't want to be known we're closed. We want to be known we're open. The other thing that the grant did, that Susan Roth did with the grant, all the legwork that she did in creating the calendar. I think I heard 199 compliments of the calendar, and I heard one negative about the calendar. So the calendar is a great thing. I hope we can do that again in the future. I'd like to do it each year, correct the things that were not put in there, and make it better and better each year. As far as the dispatching, the resignation of Chris Burns was on a handwritten piece of paper that looks like this, Mr. Flynn, and it was in everyone's packet, but it doesn't say.
It wasn't in my packet,
It
John.
doesn't. Okay, but it doesn't say why he resigned. It says, effective February 1, 2013, I hereby resign my position of part-time dispatcher with the Highland Falls Police Department. Sincerely, Christopher Burns. Now, I am the last person that should want to get involved in hearsay, because I hear a lot of hearsay that's 100% inaccurate going on because it's election time. But what the chief is sitting in the back, and we both, I think this is more than hearsay. We think that there's some talk out there that dispatching is not being done right, and that the part-timers, which Mr. Burns was a part-time dispatcher, wasn't getting the hours. just so everyone knows how it works. And it works according to union contract. I don't know how many people out here are union, but everybody knows union contracts are the Bible. You have to go by the union contract. If you don't go by the union contract, they put a grievance in, and now we're spending money that we shouldn't probably spend. So the union contract for the dispatching is as follows, and please, Chief Scott, correct me where I'm wrong. If someone calls in sick, they need a day off, whatever the reason is they can't come in, a part-timer is called. When the part-timers are called and they have something going on and they can't work, then a full-time dispatcher is called. It's only right. A full-time dispatcher is called. And this happens. Now they say they can't come in. They're doing something, they're ill themselves. Then the third line of defense becomes the part-time police officer. If he or she says no, then it goes to a full-time police officer, for which we only have 2 as full-time police officers that are actually even qualified. Because you're a police officer does not allow you to sit on the dispatcher's desk, you actually have to be qualified. So that's the chain that we have to follow. And that's the chain we do follow. And I think that there's a rumor out there that we don't follow that. Believe me, if we didn't follow it, there'd be a grievance. No offense, the police department or any other department has no problem putting grievances in, you know? And so there would be. So for all those that have heard something different than that, it's not accurate. What I just said is exactly accurate. Is that correct, Chief?
That's correct.
Do you want to add anything?
No, you made it perfect.
Okay.
Just to put it, since you wanted to comment on it, it was not everyone's package. I didn't get it as I stated, or I would not have stated that. My concern was not the policy in place. My concern was the reason for not knowing the reason for him leaving, and that's something I think we need to know. If an employee leaves and resigns, that it's important to know why, because there might be a problem to fix. In this instance, there may not be, but I think it's important that we know as a board, if an employee resigns, we should know why.
If they care to put it on there,
That's
I'll
all.
tell you.
Well, pretty much all resignations I've seen either it's time, schedule, whatnot, most of them. That's why I was concerned, because one, I didn't see it, and then when I did call to follow up on it, it was my understanding that nothing was said.
Pat, I have been here for a little while. I have never, and I say I have never seen a resignation from police, water, sewer, wastewater, or any other department ever come in with a reason, For whatever reason, they don't choose to put down a reason. They always thank us for allowing them to work here, the growth in their job that they maybe were able to do, whatever. But that's how. I can't even say most of them. I don't remember one ever coming in here not with saying I didn't like it because I didn't like the chief.
And that's not even the case. Actually, I've only been here a short time, Joe, and most of the resignations that I've seen, they do, and most of them are either scheduling, they got a promotion, they're going to another job.
2 weeks ago.
I'm not saying there's a negative connotation, but I would like to know if there is.
I would suggest in this case, regarding this letter, I would speak to the chief.
Yeah.
I think basically what you can do to solve all these problems is have an exit conference with you.
It'd be nice to have an exit.
That'd be fantastic.
That's what should be.
Yeah.
And that I think.
I've done that in the past, Joe. I did it with Chief Miller. It was important for me to know what he saw as the ups, the downs, the positives, the negatives, because it can only help the next guy or lady coming in.
Well, can we talk about doing that in all our departments then, so that we do have the same for not only the heads of the departments, but the individuals that are working there? We get the feedback so that we can improve each department.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Is there anything else?
Well, actually, I would
No,
just like to
no,
comment.
I can't, I'm sorry. Jim?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the ZBA discussion we had in the beginning. And if nobody has any further discussion at this point in time, in regards to taking it from 7 to 5, or whatever the case may be in the discussion with the town, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jack Generone back on the ZBA so that he can serve while we're in discussion of whether or not we want to take it from a 7-person board to a 5-person board.
I'll move that second.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, seconded by trustee McCormick, that the appointment of Jack Generone to the zoning board of appeals be effective immediately. May I have roll call?
Roll call, trustee McCormick.
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Flynn.
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Last thing I'll say is that this Friday, they're predicting a snowstorm. I've seen 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to a foot. None of us will know until like Thursday night. But I say this to all seniors. I'm gonna go back to the seniors. It's nothing new. I've done this for years. If you get stuck in your house on Friday and you need either medicine at Rite Aid, because I'm not going over the mountain, but you need medicine at Rite Aid or you need food, all you need to do is to call the village hall and it will be taken care of. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo. Is there a second? Second by trustee Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, District Patterson.
Chief, how you doing? When you asked for, remember we had the bomb thing, I gave it to you today.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, 'cause that was the